Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to address this House on this very important motion of Kenya's place in the international order of nations, and especially on the African continent. Before I do that, I also take the opportunity to pass my condolences and to pray for our two members of parliament who recently left us and went to be with the Maker. I was held up yesterday in other official functions and I could not contribute to the motion when it was here. So I express my condolences and I pray that the Almighty God has mercy on them, receive them in eternal bliss, and continues guiding their families and giving them strength to cope in their absence. Having said that, and having listened to the debate that has gone on this afternoon, I don't have much to add on what happened in Addis. What happened in Addis happened. Many people have speculated why it happened without producing any concrete evidence, but we take it as that. The fact is that we did not get the seat through the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, but we rallied behind the flag, as it's required of anybody to be patriotic. We rallied behind the flag, and so it went. But behind being patriotic is also being accountable. We have had it said on this floor that the Right Honorable former Prime Minister visited 51 countries. It would be, and also we saw a motley crowd of Kenyans, a mixture of all manner of characters in Addis Ababa during the voting. Some even engaging in shamamical expressions of anticipations of victory. I would pray that in the interest of accountability and transparency, this House be informed how much money was spent on the campaign. Was it private money? Was it public money? And if it was public money, who authorized it? Was it in the budget of Parliament? Or was it in some mischievous arrangements between the Treasury and elements in the executive? Because it is this kind of escapades where there's no accountability that are used to steal money from Kenyans. So my interest is that the campaigns are over. We rallied behind the flag, but let us be informed how much money was taken out of the Treasury, if at all, and what procedure was used to authorize that. Because I've checked the Appropriation Acts of Parliament, I've not found any provision for that campaign. And so I would want to know how much was spent on that campaign, and if Parliament was not involved, who authorized the Treasury to spend that money, if the money came from the public? The other issue that I would like to speak to, yes, please inform me.
Would you like to be informed by Senator Eddy?
If it's credible.
Proceed, Senator Eddy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think that the issue that the Senator of Busia is raising is a patent issue, and he has raised a dichotomous issue. One is the issue of the campaign, and the other is the issue of those who went to Addis Ababa. It will be remiss of me not to speak on one that does affect me directly, because I did travel to Addis Ababa, and I did interact with the people who traveled to Addis Ababa to be able to give support to our own. I want to inform the Senator of Busia on the issue of those who traveled. Majority of whom I interacted with, and I also traveled to give Raila Amolo Odinga support. We self-sponsored to go to Addis. And if you need the evidence to that effect, I am willing to table as many as possible of those people who believed that indeed supporting our own, just like we'll go to a rugby sevens in South Africa, or you will go to watch our sister Kipyegon run in a marathon, or you will go to watch Kipchoge in Olympic. Some of us were patriotic enough to believe that this matter was very important for the country, that we self-sponsored ourselves to get to Addis Ababa. That is an important information that I think that patriots like yourself should understand, that patriots like us did take that chance and did take that hint to be able to go and support Baba Raila Amolo Odinga in Ethiopia. I thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Eddy. You can proceed, Senator Okie.
Thanks for the unverified information. I would love to see you table that you have promised to table, to demonstrate to this House that people self-sponsored. In the absence of that, you hold your horses and forever keep quiet. Moving on,
Senator Okia, the Honorable Senator actually offered before being prompted that he could table the evidence. So it shouldn't be an area of contention. He can bring that evidence and table.
It's not an area of contention, but it's an attempt to sugarcoat a tablet. And that sugarcoating, the one I'm guarding against.
Which you would conclude after he tables and you find it's sugar-coated. That's the only time you
he needs to produce
have rendered a fair judgment on the issue.
As well as Soyinka tells us that
Senator Eddy, you will be allowed to table that evidence that you paid your own ticket and you paid your own. Okay.
Thank you, my
Proceed.
brother. Having said that, many issues aside, a lot has been said about foreign policy. Where I stand, foreign policy basically means how attractive are you to others? Or how threatening are you to others? If you have no nuclear weapons, you cannot be threatening in the modern world. So you must have something attractive. Therefore, to be attractive, it means that your domestic policy, your domestics are okay. So, for me, I think the problem we have is, in framing what you call a foreign policy, is on the domestic front. You cannot have a foreign policy worth talking of if the rule of law is disregarded. People who have got a different opinion are abducted. Foreigners who seek refuge here are kidnapped and repatriated, extradited, or whatever the word is, to their countries without due process. All those things, when you can't pay your schools, your universities, your hospitals, everything is in a mess. Your domestic, your debts are unserviceable. You can't talk of a foreign policy when the home front is on fire. You can only talk of a foreign policy when and if the home front is proper. And so when you talk of the home front, we have got this thing of governance by merchant values. Some may call it deal making, but almost what you talk of the merchants of Venice in the plays of Shakespeare. Here we are, that today in Nairobi, we have the Janjaweed being allowed to open an office. This is a genocidal organ that tried to eliminate black people, and it killed millions of black people. It was not even religious, because the people in Darfur are largely Muslim, profess the Muslim faith, but they were killed because they were not Arabs by this group. It's a record, it's a matter of public notoriety that the Janjaweed, which has now been given an office in Nairobi to operate from, has a history of trying to eliminate black people. What do we stand for as a country? Who has benefited from that process? Where is the due process leading to that particular decision? Article 10 of the Constitution is very clear. And it's very clear by stating that policy decisions, and that targets the executive, must be subjected to public participation. At the very least, a paper should have been tabled in Parliament on the issue of Kenya wishing to go to bed with the Janjaweed. Then you could debate it. Also surprising is that this thing has happened so soon after the Addis Ababa debacle. I call it a debacle because looking at the evidence, such things don't happen overnight. There must have been negotiations and must have been interactions between this group and the regime running the Republic of Kenya. So, there must have been intelligence that Kenya cannot produce a chair of the AU who can be a neutral arbiter because the government is in bed with factions that are responsible for undermining the rule of law and issues of governance on the continent. So I'm sure people knew. And we know some time back, His Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto was proposed to be chair the negotiations over the Sudan. And we remember the government in Khartoum stating in very clear terms that it could not allow it because they perceived him to be biased. A few years later, you can see that their fears were not idle. Their fears have been proven by the presence of the Janjaweed here. We have seen matters happening in this country where even a group pronounced its opposition to the government of the Congo, the Democratic Republic of Congo, from Nairobi. So, what is Pan-African about that? When you look at the genocidal wars in the Congo, what's Pan-African about the Janjaweed being here? When you look at the genocide in Darfur, in the Sudan. Madam Speaker, I think we need to take a good look at ourselves as Kenyans in the mirror and ask ourselves, what is going on? I'm almost being persuaded that we are getting to a point whereby the Republic might need to invoke Article 144 of the Constitution. For those who care to do, you can check out what Article 144 of the Constitution provides. Because some things that are happening defy logic, defy any attempt at understanding them, and can only happen outside the sphere of a well-constructed syllogism. Madam Speaker, it's a very, very heavy heart that today I stand in this august house as a powerless legislator, a House that has totally failed to have any impact on the executive, a House that has got absolutely nothing to write home about its achievements. Absolutely nothing. Even if you gave them the back of a postage stamp and a felt pen, they would not feel it within an achievement you have had in terms of checking the executive. We don't understand the insignia on our own desks here. Deputy Minority Whip, Minority Whip, Minority Whip, and a Majority Leader, whatever, which is a clear statement that this House is not an extension of the executive. We'd be having a government side and an opposition side if the executive was given from this House. The executive in this country was directly elected by the people to be accountable to this House. The structure of the Constitution is such that the president must be lobbying and begging this House to allow him to do what he wants to do as a check. If it's appointments, they come to Parliament for clearance, be it in the National Assembly or here. If it's a budget, it comes to Parliament for approval. But things have been turned on their head. And today, it's MPs kneeling before the president instead of the other way around. So I'm totally ashamed and embarrassed that I belong to a parliament that is totally incapacitated for reasons that I don't know. Everything has been turned on its head. And as a result, the executive behaves like it's a law upon itself. That's why the Janjaweed can be given an office in Nairobi at the whims of an individual and claim that the people of Kenya have welcomed the Janjaweed to come and run their genocidal government from Nairobi. It's extremely sad. Madam Speaker, I played with my fellow members of Parliament in the Senate and in the National Assembly. Senators and assemblymen and women.
Senator Osotsi, you have an intervention? Have you pressed for intervention?
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt Senator Omtatah, but I think it's important for us to be told more about this Janjaweed, because my little knowledge about Janjaweed is that it's a terrorist group that operates in the Sahel region, Sudan, Chad, and Yemen. And Senator Omtatah, whom I respect a lot, and I know he has a lot of information, he has said that they have opened an office in Kenya. So I think this is a serious matter that even me as a representative of the people, I would like to know more about that. Have these people opened an office in Kenya, and what action can we take as representative of the people? Because this Janjaweed, which translates to devils on a horseback, that is what it means in English, is a destructive group, is a terrorist group, which was even defined as a terrorist group by the United Nations. So if indeed they are in Kenya, and I don't want to doubt what Senator Omtatah is saying, because he has always proven that whatever he says, he has researched very well. So I think I need to know more about that, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Senator Omtatah, you know, under the Standing Order 105, you have a responsibility for a statement, issuing statement of fact for everything you allege while you are debating. You can proceed to give information that supports what you have alleged.
Incidentally, Senator Soti, thank you for asking me to do the obvious. I always carry my laptop and I've just clicked in the word search under warring factions in the Sudan. And what has come up, Sudanese, under the heading Sudanese Civil War 2023 to present on Wikipedia, that is HTTP.
Are you, Honorable Senator, are you presenting social media facts?
It's not a social media fact.
This
is an internet resource. It's a Wikipedia, an internet resource. Yes, it's an authority, and I've referred to it. So the two opponent factions consist of the Sudanese Armed Forces, SAF, under Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, and the Paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, RSF, and its allies, collectively the Janjaweed Coalition, under the Janjaweed under Hemedit.
What is your point of order, Senator Eddy? Senator Boni, give Senator Eddy time to raise his point of order.
Madam Speaker, responsibility of fact 105. If you read that entire standing, Madam Speaker, there is a standard of proving facts in this House. A Parliament of Kenya, the Senate of Kenya, want to depend on Wikipedia as a source that can be tabled in the House to prove fact, Madam Speaker. What are we doing? Who is the author of Wikipedia? Wikipedia is a source that anybody, just like social media, can go and post anything on Wikipedia. Are we going to depend on Wikipedia sources in this House, Senator Boni Aluali, the majority whip? Is this where the House of Senators reached, to depend on Wikipedia sources in the House? I think that the spirit of standing order number 105 is such that when there is any issue of fact that is raised in this House, then an honorable senator must then produce a reliable source that is available to all senators, but not social media facts and figures and Wikipedia sources that, Madam Speaker, have got voices from all over that you cannot be able to point to one person. So I request the honorable senator that, yes, there is a very serious issue that is bringing to the House, but let his source be credible, and let his source be something that we can all believe in and appreciate. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Okia.
I urge my brother, Senator from Migori, to dismount from his emaciated and starving high horse and understand that Wikipedia always has links to sources where the information comes from. But that as it may be, I would also like to bring in another authority. I was still producing authorities.
Okay, Senator Okia, it's your responsibility to give verified information whose authors may be known or the source is credible. So
yes,
I will now request you or guide you to give the author of the information you are giving or the source that you are giving from that Wikipedia.
Well, I'm here. I've left the Wikipedia alone. I'm here at https://www.cfr.org/global-conflict-struggle-sudan. By its heading of the document is called Civil War in the Sudan by the Center for Preventive Action, a highly recognized body.
Senator Okia, I appreciate what you're reading, but you're the only one in this house right now who has access to what you're reading.
My lady,
I am not able to
my
see
lady,
the source.
we have got computerized
Senator,
systems here, and if people are not able to use them, I cannot be responsible.
I'm guiding you, sir.
I cannot be responsible for the ignorance of members.
Senator Okia,
My yes,
I'm giving you a guide.
Yes, Madam Speaker.
I want you to table that evidence in the normal procedural manner, which evidence is tabled in this house or statement of facts are verified in this house. If you're able to table it within the next short while, it's okay, table it. I can also have a look at it. And you can also table it.
My lady, yes.
I'm guiding you to make it easier, because this is an important question. It's a serious question that cannot be trivialized. You're talking about Jajawidi. It's been named as a terrorist group. Can you table that evidence in the normal fashion so that senators can also get a copy of it? You can print it and table it.
All of you.
Senator Boni, would you like to be informed by Senator Boni?
Yes, all of them can inform.
Okay.
Yes, Madam Speaker, indeed, this is a very important issue. Yes. And we should not muscle the Senator of Busia without paying attention to what he's saying. Wikipedia is an encyclopedia which is referred to in Hawaiian language. In Hawaiian language, Madam Speaker, encyclopedia is referred to quick, fast speed. So to challenge its authenticity is to pretend that an encyclopedia is not an authoritative document. Secondly, Madam Speaker, Janjaweed is equally defined as a terrorist group in Sahel region, unless the senator of Migori is an ignorant man, and I know he is not. If you are uncomfortable with the truthfulness of Senator Omtatah, then say it, because he is not the first to mention the word Janjaweed in this country. It is in public domain. And in parliamentary palace, Madam Speaker, as I informed His Excellency Okia, matters that are in public domain are admissible. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Beyond the point, Senator Boni, beyond the point of information on the encyclopedia, I think the question was whether Jajawidi is set in Kenya, is located in Kenya. It's not denying if that was what Senator Eddie raised, whether Jajawidi is having official location in Kenya. Is your point? Would you like to be informed by Senator from Nandi? Okay. Senator Cherarige.
Madam Speaker, on a point of information, I want to inform that the issue of Janjaweed, Madam Speaker, started in 2003, and by 2013, the Janjaweed created an offshoot called Rapid Support Forces, RSF. So when you refer to RSF and Janjaweed, they are of same family but different species if you did biology. So people who did biology and brilliant like us who went to Kapsat Boys High School, who has produced 2 presidents, Moi and Ruto, then you are able to understand. So I think the issue should be, if RSF is in Nairobi, is it the same as Janjaweed is in Nairobi? That can be left to the jury to decide. I thank you.
What is your point of order, Senator Eddie? Is it on the same issue?
No, Madam Speaker, you know, when there is aspersions thrown to a member becomes a very important issue. And that is 101. I think the entire 101 applies to what the Senator of Kakamega has just thrown as aspersions on my character. Because, no, I haven't even said what I'm saying. Why are you guilty before I say what I want to say?
Under which standing order have you
101. 101, Madam Speaker, talks about, throwing aspersions on members. It talks also about what can be considered abusive or insulting language. Madam Speaker, if you read 101.3, you will find what the standing orders guides on this. Madam Speaker, there is what we call syntax in the language with which the Senator of Kakamega has implied that I'm ignorant on these issues. And the word ignorant, Madam Speaker, I find it insulting. That is one. Number two, Madam Speaker, he has also implied that I am not comfortable with the truth that the Senator of Busia wanted to bring in the House and still bring in the House. Madam Speaker, I beg to make it clear that the Senator of Busia intimated that Janjaweed is based in Kenya, for which he went ahead to seek the source of Wikipedia to prove that. And all I wanted to know, because it's a very important issue of national security interest in our country, and we cannot let it go. All I want to know is that, is there a source that we can depend on that shows that Janjaweed is based in Kenya? Because if it is based in Kenya, we must take serious security matter on this. We cannot just let it pass. A senator cannot say that Janjaweed is based in Kenya and let it pass as a simple issue. So, Senator Boni, I hope that you get where I was coming from. I am not in any way refusing that Janjaweed has been a terrorist group that has terrorized the people of Sudan. That is true. That's factual, and that is in the public domain. But is it true that they're based in Kenya now? If that is true, we must deal with it. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Eddie, while you may be in order to raise a point of order, first, your first point was overtaken because Senator Boni was not on his feet when you raised that issue. So ideally, you should raise it. So that is overtaken, but I think you have done a good clarification on what you needed to know from the honorable senators as to whether Janjaweed has an office in Kenya. So, Senator Okia, proceed to answer that question directly.
My time be expanded because...
Give him back his minutes that have been consumed by the points.
First of all, Senator Eddie is trying to take credit for what he didn't do. It is Senator Osoti who wanted to know that clarification. Senator Eddie only contested the source I gave. So Senator Eddie cannot stand here and begin thumping his chest as a knowledgeable man who wanted to distinguish. You only challenged Wikipedia. You didn't understand what Wikipedia was, and Honorable Khalwada has helped you to understand what Wikipedia is, including telling you about its Hawaiian origins. Now, my lady, in terms of taking him to standing orders, I don't think that we are still in the age of brick and mortar as security. Today, we don't look for real wealth on the ground. We look for it in space. We have got these screens here. Are they decorations? We have got these iPads here that every senator has. Are they decorations? When I give a URL, a universal resource locator, for a document on the internet, I expect this House to have the capacity to access the document and not to be told that I should bring in paper which results in the destruction of trees. I'm bringing no paper into this House. I'm digital, I'm futuristic, my eyes are on the stars, not on the ground. Yes. In the age when the AI is coming in, and we see talking of paper, brick and mortar. No way. I challenge the House to log into the URL I've given and display the information on the screens in this Parliament. Now, here and now. And individual senators who cannot use their gadgets should ask for a refresher course to be taken for induction so that they can access the internet using the gadgets in this office. The taxpayers do not enable us in vain. They don't enable us in vain. So when I carry my document, my gadgets here, and I talk as a modern man in the 21st century, I am addressing modern people in the 21st century. None of the information I give is meant for Stone Age people. And if you belong to the Stone Age, you don't belong to where I belong. Are we together there? So, I want the matter to be settled there, Madam Speaker. I'm not presenting any papers here. I'm not printing any documents. I've given the URL. It's the duty of this House and individual member to access the information in the universal resource locator I've given. Madam Speaker, Senator, I sit. Thank you for the time.
Senator Okia, you still have a responsibility to indicate your source whether Jajawidi is in Kenya or not in Kenya. He has to answer that question. Senator